Hi everyone. Good afternoon. My name is McKenna and I am on the marketing team here at Bachman's, and I am so excited to be here with you guys today because we are talking about creating a floating garden, which is so exciting and something that I can actually do. So hopefully you can too. So creating a floating garden. A floating garden is simply just a flower arrangement that floats with candles. So it's nothing crazy. The name sounds a little bit intimidating, but I promise you, you can do this. And most of the supplies that we are going to be using today, you already have at home, which is super great. And also, it is a great way to use fresh florals from your own garden. So most of the supplies, including the flowers even, you can really just get from home. So when creating your floating garden, you want to have fun with colors and with textures. Especially if you're using flowers that are in your own garden, you can kind of create like a myriad of everything that you have outside your home, inside your home. So as you can see over here, we have a bunch of different flowers and colors and textures, giving us a very summery vibe. This is beautiful, this is great, and this is so fun for summertime. But if this is too much, doesn't really go with you and your style, you can do a more monochromatic look. We have some pinks going on here in a simple glass vase, a little bit more simple and a little bit more chic. So those are great things you can do with color and texture. And another thing you want to think about when you are creating your floating garden is which room are you going to put it in. You know, you can use big vases or vessels like these in your living room or maybe your dining room. So on a coffee table, on a dining room kitchen table, but maybe you want to add some tranquility into your bedroom or your bathroom. That's great too, but maybe you want a smaller vessel. So think of a littler container to go in those kind of rooms like we obviously have here. So once you've kind of thought about the vibe that you want for your container garden, you obviously want to gather your supplies. So what we will be using here today, scissors, sorry I couldn't find them over there, water, obviously we have a watering can here for you. You're going to want some tea light, candles that float, your lighter and or some matches, whatever lighting utensil of your choice. And then obviously you are going to want your flowers, your container, and your pillar candle. This is huge, so make sure you have that. So when picking out your florals, you really want to stick to a vibe that is you. We talked about the colors, we talked about monochromatic, but you really want to focus on two different kinds of flowers, and those are going to be your statement flowers and your accent flowers. Today I am going to be using these fun pink roses. I love roses. I think they're beautiful. I want my floating garden to be a little bit more fragrant, so that is why I'm using roses today, but not everyone likes roses. Sometimes roses aren't your vibe, and maybe you don't want a fragrant floating garden. As you can see over here, we have Gerbera daisies, we have lilies, peonies, zinnias, also make fabulous statement florals. Really, and also, you know what, like I said, whatever's in your garden will work just fine for you. And then for our accent flowers, I'm going to use kind of individual tips of hydrangea, which I think are beautiful, which is what we've used over here. But you can also use, you know, mums, status, stock, delphinium works great. And another one that works really great, again, we used in here, is Queen Anne's lace, and that is what I'm going to be using today because I really wanted just a fun kind of pink vibe, and I wanted my roses to stick out, which is why I'm using the hydrangea and the Queen Anne's lace white to really pop those roses. So after you pick out your flowers, you obviously want to pick out your vessel or your container that you are going to be using for your garden. So today I am going to be using this beautiful gray cement container. It's a little bit more modern, it's a little bit more fun. If that's not you, stick to to maybe a glass container. It's more classic. I know personally I have a bunch of these in my own home for my flower arrangements, so I might go to grab something like this if I didn't want to buy anything new. And then also, you know, you don't need round. Rectangle works great too. If you want a floating container garden that's as long as your table, use a long rectangular container. It's really up to you. You just want to make sure that the top is nice and wide and open so that we can see those flowers, we can see those candles, and we can really enjoy and appreciate them. So now that we've talked about deciding on your floating container garden, let's talk about the process. You want to start with a lit pillar candle. It's really important that this is your first step as you want to build that wax up so that you can use it later on. So start with a lit pillar candle, and then you can move on to your other steps. I am first going to fill my container up with water. And when you're filling your container up with water, you know, don't overdo it. You are going to be dropping candles and florals in here, so the water will rise obviously on its own, and you can always add more water later. I know I have found that I have had to do that a couple times, but you can always do that later. So really just fill it up to how full you see fit, but you just don't want that to overflow, obviously. This is really, and you don't have to use a watering can. We just got a little fancy here for Facebook today. So now that I have water in my container, I want to talk to you about snipping the ends of your blooms. Obviously, I have a couple done here already, but I am going to demonstrate a couple for you guys. And I'm going to start my container garden with some Queen Anne's lace because it's kind of the smallest of the florals that I'll be using here today. And you kind of want to go from small to large. As you know, my roses are, like I said before, and my tea lights are really my statement pieces, so I care a little bit more as to where those are going to be placed. So I'm starting with my Queen Anne's lace, and I'm just going to cut right below the blooms there. And I'm going to do a couple pieces here. I kind of want bigger pieces for them to really fill in. But again, that is your choice. We have some lovely ones in this container right over here. Perfect. Again, just right at the bottom there. Don't know if you can see that. And then I'm gonna cut a few hydrangea here, kind of right at the base, not too big of a chunk, kind of individually. Then you can fit them more places, you know, play around with them the smaller amount that you cut them into here. Okay, might want more of that. And then for the roses, these are so beautiful. I love pink. I love roses. You know, you really not too far up, but you really don't need any of that stem. So pretty. Okay. So you want to blow out your pillar candle before you do anything. We do not want to burn you, and you do not want to burn your blooms. So after you do that, you're really just going to dip the end of your flower or your bloom in that wax. Give it 5-10 seconds to dry here. Really get those ends good so that it floats. You can get a little messy with this. That is always okay when crafting. I might do a little bit more on this other one that I just did, just to make sure that it's gonna float. Beautiful. Kind of hold that for, like I said, 5-10 seconds. Watch your fingers. You do not want to burn yourself. The wax isn't too hot, but it is melting wax, so You do want to make sure you're being careful. And you know, you can always relight that pillar candle and wait for that wax to melt a little bit more if you feel like it's kind of drying up. And for the rose, I'm just going to really hold it tight and really dip it in there. Kind of move it around in there. The rose is definitely obviously my heaviest flower, so I really want to get the bottom of that rose really good in that wax. And you know, with roses, I'm going to let this dry. The outside petals are the garter petals. You don't need those, so feel free to like peel those off. It's not going to hurt the flower. Those petals are actually there to protect the flower anyway, and they kind of are meant to come off. So yes, especially if they're a little less pretty than others. So I'm going to drop in some of my Queen Anne's lace here. Beautiful. You guys see that? Perfect. And then I'm going to drop in some of my hydrangea, just kind of around there. And the best thing about when you clip your hydrangea really small like this is I can really play around with it in my floating garden. Kind of move it around, place it where I want it to go. Beautiful. I love the pink and white look. Again, whatever more of these garter petals, get them out of the way. And you can blow in your rose to open it up. And as you can see with these ones, they're very open, but going to open up over time. So if it's not looking lush and big right now, it will. It will. You just got to give them some time. I'm kind of going to place those where I want them. And I'm only using 3 roses here, but again, it's your choice if you want to. They float. And last but not least, I am going to light my candles. Beautiful. Love it. And, ooh, that's a little close. That is my floating container garden. So it's really just a fun flower arrangement that you can do and make really easily, and it's going to be that wow statement piece in your home. It's a crowd pleaser. Maybe you're having a wine night and you want to do something a little different. This is perfect for that. And like I said, most of these things I have at home, you probably have at home. But if you don't, that's okay too. We are always here to help you. Bachman's has a variety of containers. We have floating tea lights. We have obviously flowers. So if you're looking to get supplies and you don't know where we are, go to Bachmans.com, click on that store locator page, find a Bachman's near you. And if you're just looking to pick up some fresh florals, we do sell Bachman's flowers at Lunds and Byerly's, which you can also find near you on our store locator page on Bachmans.com. My name is McKenna, and it has been a pleasure to be here with you today.